So first I'm going to show what it should look like when you debate Piers Morgan on gun control.
Your murder rate is lower than ours. That is true.
Lower?
Your
It's
violent
35 against
your,
12,000.
Your violent
In Australia,
crime rate,
they had a
your
massacre,
violent
and they
crime
got
rate
rid
is
of these
higher
assault
than
weapons.
ours, as is the violent crime rate in Australia. America is not the Wild West that you are depicting. We only have the problem in our cities and unhappily in our schools, where people like you have been able to get laws put on the books that keep people from being able to defend themselves. I honestly don't understand why you would rather have people be victims of a crime than be able to defend themselves. It's incomprehensible.
You're an unbelievably stupid man, aren't you?
So that is great for the gun advocate here and terrible for Piers, because when you know you've got your opponent cornered when they start making childish insults like "you're stupid." Now we're going to painfully watch Alex Jones debating the same thing with Piers Morgan and watch basically the exact opposite situation play out.
Piers, thanks for having me.
Why do you want to deport me?
Well, we did it as a way to bring attention to the fact that we have all of these foreigners and the Russian government, the official Chinese government. Mao said political power goes out of the barrel of a gun. He killed about 80 million people because he's the only guy that had the guns. So we did it to point out that this is globalism, and the mega banks that control the planet and brag that they've taken over, in Bloomberg, AP, Reuters, you name it, brag that they're going to get our guns as well. They've taken everybody's guns but the Swiss and the American people. And when they get our guns, they can have their world tyranny, while the government buys 1.6 billion bullets, armored vehicles, tanks, helicopters, Predator drones, armed, now in U.S. skies, being used to arrest people in North Dakota. The Second Amendment isn't there for duck hunting. It's there to protect us from tyrannical government and street thugs. Take the women in India. Your piece earlier on CNN I was watching during Anderson Cooper's show didn't tell you that the women of India have signed giant petitions to get firearms because the police can't and won't protect them. The answer is, hey, wait a minute, I have FBI crime statistics.
Okay, so he starts out pretty good. I mean, it's a little scattered. It's a little too much information to start a debate with, obviously. So that's not great. But he starts out okay. But now he should let Piers Morgan talk back to him. You know, he should let him put something and respond. If you give too much evidence to your opponent, they'll just cherry pick and they won't directly answer what you're asking, right? They'll cherry pick the weakest claim you made. You just can't, shotgun him with this much information. And now he's trying to point out something to him with papers, and we can see already he needs to stop and let Piers respond.
Statistics that come out a year late, 2011. 20+% crime drop in the last 9 years. Real violent crime, because more guns means less crime. Britain took the guns 15, 16 years ago, tripling of your overall violent crime. True, we have a higher gun violence level, but overall mugging, stabbings, deaths, those men raped that woman in India to death with an iron rod 4 feet long. You can't ban the iron rods. The guns, the iron rods, Piers, didn't do it.
Okay, so now's a good place to stop. That was a good conclusion. It's, again, wasn't great the way you started. Now you're talking about 4-foot iron rods raping a woman. That's not a good imagery to, present your thing with, but that's a good point. Iron rods don't kill people, and you can't ban iron rods. It's the criminals who are perpetrating these violent crimes. Good place to stop. And everybody watching him who's on his side, who has his positions is thinking, please, Jones, please stop here, please. Oh God, rein it in, buddy. But he doesn't do that.
The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you...
All right, now it's getting a little out of control. It's getting very emotional. You don't want to get this emotional in a debate. You just don't. This is a good speech to have when you're firing up a bunch of like-minded people at a rally or something, a town hall meeting. not good for a debate.
You try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? That's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
He has so many good places to stop, you know. You will not take our guns again. Good. Stop. Silence. Let Piers respond. No, he always links to something else.
My family in the Texas Revolution against Santa Anna, my family was at the core on both sides starting that because Santa Anna came to take the guns at Gonzales, Texas. Pierce, don't try what your ancestors did before. Why don't you come to America? I'll take you out shooting. You can become an American and join the Republic.
All right, even so, this is salvageable. He can stop here. That's good. You went a little nuts. We expect that from you. You're Alex Jones. We know you're kind of sensational and you're very passionate and good. You did that. Let him talk.
You finished?
Yes, I am finished.
Great. Yes, you are finished.
You will not take my right. You go through background checks to get guns.
Oh, wait, no, he's not.
How about Prozac? You know the number one, oh, that's the big sponsor, isn't it? Or that whole class of drugs.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, whoa, got to cut that off, don't you?
Oh, and this is where I start to think, okay, what is he doing? What is Alex Jones doing here? I don't believe he's this dumb that he would come on CNN. He knows who the viewers are going to be. He should know. I mean, maybe he's just so absorbed in his own viewing audience that I really don't know what he wanted to do on this interview, what he thought he was going to do, but this is the worst. I really don't think it could have gone any worse for him on this, and let's just painfully finish this clip.
Don't want to talk about the U.S. number one cause of death is suicide now because they give people suicide mass murder pills.
Calm down.
Your answer is give more money to the psychiatrists and psychologists to put more crazy people on drugs that make them kill people, Piers.
Let's try and have a debate.
Yeah, so Piers is like, if your debate opponent is ever telling you, calm down, let's try to have a debate here. The debate's over, they won. You can't say anything after that. And you know, that's probably Jones is realizing that now, and that is only making him more agitated because he's worried that, oh my God, what am I doing? I mean, let's hope. But this is why, you know, I think I'm not accusing him of being a controlled opposition or OC as some people, CO, sorry, as some people call that. But that's why I put might in all caps to emphasize that. But, you know, he really comes off as like a comic actor or someone who's trying to make everyone who supports him look ridiculous, which unfortunately, you see the banner in the background, Guns in America, you know, he's representing gun owners here. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Answer me this question.
I'm sick of the same old script here, bud.
It's fine, bud. How many gun murders were there in America last year? Do you know?
There were about 11,458, and about 74% of those were gang-related, gangbangers shooting each other.
Good, now we're getting to some real statistics. Maybe we're still going to have a debate.
You get 3,500 to 4,000.
that wasn't the
How
question.
many people died from infections in hospitals? 197,000.
Let me just ask you a second
That's
question.
right.
How many gun murders were there in Britain
How
last
many
year?
great white sharks
No, how many
kill
gun
people
murders-
every year, but they're scared to swim?
Great point, but that wasn't the question, and you don't want to directly avoid your debater's questions because that puts you in a bad light. It makes you look uncredible.
Right. How many gun murders were there in Britain
A
last
very low amount. I already went over those
How many?
statistics.
Do you know?
It was only a few hundred.
year? No. How many gun murders?
I actually did pull up the statistics. Here, let me pull them out right here. I figured you'd do that.
Gun murders
Oh,
in
wait.
Britain last
UK
year.
violent crime, capital of Europe. London
No.
Telegraph. Here, let me
It's
give you
quite
more.
a simple question.
Well, that's the oldest.
You're a very loud man.
No, that's the
You
oldest
make a
Perry
lot of
Mason
noise.
tactic to ask.
Yeah, and Piers is absolutely right. You're very loud and you make a lot of noise. And even though he's presenting information, he shoots himself in the foot, no pun intended, because of his hostile nature that he's bringing to this debate. And furthermore, you know, that's a common criticism of Americans, is that they're gun nuts and they're loud, and he's just presenting that stereotype in full form in this interview, which is why I don't think he's that dumb. And I don't know what Jones' agenda is, but I don't know. I tread very lightly with his show and what he's trying to do after seeing this, because it's just terrible. So I've screen capped some YouTube comments of his video. Who is this buffoon who can't stop talking about the big bad government? Seriously, he needs help. And someone responds, he's Alex Jones. He's a dumb, loudmouth moron, and I can't disagree based on this video, who lives in his own little fantasy world where everything is a conspiracy, has a huge fan base of idiots who believe everything he says, and to put it into perspective, he goes on. So, I mean, that's not good. You know, he's just playing to his own opposition. He's almost erasing everything that he's been supposedly fighting for the last, I don't know how, 7, 8, 10 years that Jones has been building up his fan base and talking about these issues. And here's another comment. Holy hell, Alex Jones is immature. Totally agree. Whether or not you agree with him, he is one of the most childish, naive morons I have ever seen on live television. I mean, he comes off as worse, as bad as Bill O'Reilly here. Yeah. Not good, Jones. Not good, Alex. And last comment I'll show you. What is wrong with you Americans? So now, this is the worst thing that could have happened, right? We're conflating Alex Jones with all Americans. Not good. You have to understand how many people you're representing when you go on live TV and act the way you did. It is terrible. A lot of you actually like and listen to this Alex Jones. In normal countries, this sick fuck would not have an audience unless this was his comedy routine. He's nothing but a bully who shouts and shouts because he has no good points to provide, just like Bill O'Reilly. That's exactly the problem. He has good points, right? This person's wrong. He does have good points, but he shouts and shouts. If you have good information, you don't need to be hostile like that, or else people ignore your information. They lower their TV, and you're not going to reach anyone who's on the fence. You're trying to preach to the choir when your choir, you know, is back on YouTube looking at InfoWars and Prison Planet. And he acknowledges this person. I'm sorry for saying you Americans. I have friends there, and they're very nice people. It's just easy to say Americans, since your country elects the craziest people and listen to people like Alex Jones. And now we're at a whole other level of the problems that he's causing, because now this person thinks that Alex Jones has something to do with the crazy people that are being elected. I mean, you can't backfire more if you're Jones. I really hope, I'll look at his videos and see how he talks about his performance on this interview, but man, what a facepalm. And so that's why I think he might be just controlled opposition. He's just someone who is meant to represent a lot of solid arguments and evidence for people who are interested in taking back their country. And then he goes on TV and makes a mockery of the entire thing. I mean, if he's not controlled opposition, this is exactly how to do it. So if there's any government agencies watching, any corporate sponsors who are looking to squash any kind of American movement, just get someone like Jones, get someone like that to pretend to be this kind of person, and put them on with Piers Morgans and have them act like complete ass.
I honestly don't understand why you would rather have people be victims of a crime than be able to defend themselves. It's incomprehensible.
You're an unbelievably stupid man, aren't you?